Vinyl, CDs, cassettes and tubes have all made comebacks in recent years to varying degrees of success. Some would say that tubes never went away, and that's a fair point. However, the tubes that we've been used to seeing in audio products since the early 1900s were generally large and very much stationary. They've generally been connected to preamplifiers, amplifiers, and sometimes DACs. What you might not have seen before is a tube like the Jan 6418 tube. This tiny specimen is what's called a direct heated pentode tube. In normal speak, that means the tube is robust and uses 5 distinct electrodes. 2 of those electrodes are focused specifically on improving the performance and efficiency of the tube. In the 1950s, when this tube was first being designed, that made it a great option for the use in rough and tough military applications. These days, it makes it an excellent choice in portable audio devices for those seeking a tube sound. That's why we've seen it pop up in some digital audio players from brands like Astel & Kern and KN, but this isn't a review of either of those. This is a review focused on a device that's a better choice to pair with your smartphone or your computer. It's for those seeking great sound on the go, or great sound in a compact package for the desk at work, the bedside table, or maybe the hotel room when you're traveling. It's the Muse HiFi M5 Ultra, and it's a $299 portable, battery-powered, USB or Bluetooth DAC and headphone amp device. The Jan 6418 tubes inside the M5 Ultra are locked into some special shock absorbers, and so you can use the M5 Ultra in truly portable situations without hearing any microphonics from the tubes. That's the ringing and echoing sounds that some tubes can create if there's vibrations around them. What's more, the tubes were already designed to be rugged and durable, and so adding the suspension mechanisms to them makes this device pretty much bulletproof, figuratively speaking, of course. From there, the M5 Ultra offers more impressive specs and features, such as a custom-made ES9038Q2M DAC chip that's been modified to pair specifically with the Jan 6418 tubes. I'd love to know exactly what they've modified and how exactly they're mating the DAC chip to the tubes, but I'm guessing it comes down to some changes in the voltage or the current output from the DAC chip. The M5 Ultra also offers premium Bluetooth codecs like LDAC and aptX Adaptive, in addition to accepting the digital audio coming in via USB if you want a truly lossless solution. The battery in the M5 is apparently good for 10 or more hours of use, and I haven't ever gotten close to emptying it over multiple uses with very rare charging cycles. Oh, and it also comes supplied with its carry case, as well as USB-C to USB-C and Apple Lightning to USB-C cables. All of this for $299 seems like a bargain, but it still needs to sound good. And it does. Mostly. The first things to know are that the M5 Ultra works wonderfully well with both full-sized headphones and IEMS. That's partly due to the digital volume control with lots of steps, partly due to having gain options, and partly due to the fact that there is no sense of any background noise even in tube mode. It also works wonderfully via both the 4.4mm balanced and 3.5mm unbalanced outputs. The 3.5mm output delivers a slightly less wide soundstage with a slightly richer overall sound, but I would gladly use either because they both sound a little bit different rather than one being clearly better or worse. Back to the tube mode though, because we need to discuss that a lot more. You can switch between using the tubes for the output or a set of solid-state transistors in the M5 Ultra, and both, as you'd probably expect, do sound different. The final adjustment that you can make is the choice of which filter the DAC chip uses, and as usual, it makes a tiny difference, but it's not worth discussing here because the difference is so small and they're all available. You can try it for yourself. One quick note about the interface is that I would have liked a way to quickly switch between the tube mode, which is called VT on the display, and the transistor mode, which is TM on the display, but perhaps Muse HiFi aren't expecting people to switch that on and off that regularly. The reason that you might want to switch it regularly though, is that both modes offer subtle but significant differences in their sound. As a quick side note here, depending on where you are in the world, you might know tubes as valves. And I'm actually going to use the term valve now as a way to remember that VT is valve mode on the M5 Ultra, whereas TM is transistor mode. In valve mode, the sound from the M5 Ultra is a little bit smoother and there's a little bit more sense of depth in the soundstage. On top of that, all of the sounds come across a little bit more rounded. It's a hard aspect of the sound to describe because it's like each note has more sense of three-dimensionality to it versus being a flat, two-dimensional object in space. And I use the term round to describe the sound of the M5 Ultra in valve mode because the sound is not overly soft, overly warm, or thick. It's just not quite as dry or crisp as the transistor mode, and as I said, there's that little sense of three-dimensionality to each of the sounds. In fact, the best way I can describe the valve mode from the M5 Ultra is horribly non-specific. Valve mode just has a sprinkle of magic to it. I know that tells you nothing, and that's because all of the differences are subtle, but they're still significant enough to make the M5 Ultra sound better in every possible way, to my ears at least, in valve mode. What's possibly most important to note is that I didn't feel like I lost anything going from transistor mode to valve mode. No lack of resolution, no lack of speed or attack, just a less dry sound that's a bit more engaging and enjoyable and with better soundstage depth. Basically, I think I would only ever use the M5 Ultra with the valves engaged. That is, if I didn't own something better. The Quest-style M15 costs a little bit less than the M5 Ultra, and importantly, it doesn't offer Bluetooth connectivity. If you want Bluetooth, the M5 Ultra is excellent. Heck, if you want a cool device that sounds great, the M5 Ultra is excellent. But if you're chasing the best sounding USB connected portable DAC and headphone amp device for under $300 US, I prefer the M15. I believe there might also be newer variants of the M15 as well, so they might be even better still, but I haven't heard them. What I noticed when comparing both the M5 Ultra and the M15 in USB connection mode is that both devices deliver fantastic separation and clarity in the sound. Where they start to differ though is that there's more sense of depth in the soundstage, and the sound just comes across more natural and lifelike from the M15. Even with valve mode switched on in the M5 Ultra, its sound comes across a bit flatter sounding spatially, and it also sounds just a little bit artificial by comparison. To make this abundantly clear, there is nothing wrong with the sound of the M5 Ultra. It's only that when you swap between the M5 Ultra and the M15, the music from the M15 sounds alive and engaging by comparison. The M5 Ultra sounds technically correct, but perhaps a little uninspired by comparison. Another way to put it is that the M15 has feel, like a master musician, like Mark Knopfler playing guitar for example. The M5 Ultra is playing all the right notes, the tune is all the same, but it's arriving without that same sense of feel that the master musician adds, and that difference is subtle, but it's significant. And so the M5 Ultra to me is a device that's going to give you some of the very best Bluetooth audio going on the market. And if having a Bluetooth device so you're not tethered to your phone or your computer is your priority, I think go for the M5 Ultra, it's absolutely great. But if you were going to buy this for wired connectivity, say with your phone or your computer, then I would also think about options like the Quest-style M15 or the Dita Audio Navigator. I compared those two here, and I actually felt like the Navigator was maybe even a little bit better again than the M15. So watch that video next to see which one you might prefer. For now, I want to say a huge thanks to YouTube channel members, to channel Patreon members, and to those of you that leave super thanks on videos like this one. Until next time, happy listening, be kind to each other, and I'll see you here again soon on Passion for Sound.